and you were best buddies with somebody for 15 years at the height of their sex trafficking operation, you most certainly were looking the other way at the very least. And so, to condone that kind of behavior is obviously upsetting, but to almost celebrate it in the way that it seems from this uh, this card is even more disheartening. And then, he denies the card, says he didn't write it, but I feel like I'm going to read it for everyone who's joined and has
Yeah.
not actually read it themselves yet. So the note begins with, "There must be more to life than having everything." And Donald says, "Yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is." Jeffrey says, "Nor will I, since I also know what it is." Donald says, "We have certain things in common, Jeffrey." Jeffrey says, "Yes, we do, come to think of it." Donald says, "Enigmas never die, but have you noticed that?" Jeffrey says, "As a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you." Trump says, "A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." Now,
Hmm.
this is all typed out, in the shape of a woman's naked body and drawn in that infamous black mark.
Sharpie.
Yeah, that President Trump Sharpie that he likes to use. And then he signs his name where what would be a woman's pubic hair. Uh, and this is the note. And it's creepy and it's gross and it celebrates this perversion that Jeffrey Epstein has. And it really does further the notion that in some ways, President Trump, if he knew at the very least he was an enabler, I don't know about you, but I've never interviewed a victim who was personally assaulted or raped by President Trump. Have you?
No, no, no. There's plenty of contact between Epstein and Trump. And I think
Right.
the two men knew each other for 15 years, but I've never seen any suggestion of that in relation to Epstein.
Well, there were a few cases that were filed but then dropped.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's right. I
they,
mean,
those
nothing,
cases,
yeah, nothing substantial.
yeah, they were filed and then they were dropped. We don't know why.
Hmm.
But he was on the flight. He was on the Lolita Express, excuse me. He is in the Little Black Book more than 10 times for even Melania's number. They were very close friends. And
And let's not forget the video as well. I think from 1990. I think it's from the 1990s of Trump and Epstein together at Mar-a-Lago, and Trump's pointing out girls, talking about how hot they are, and Epstein
right.
doubles over in laughter. I think NBC dug that out of their archives in like 2019, and it shows. I think the link between that and this note, which like Trump has just said it's BS, literally said it's BS. He's denied that he said that it's fake, and he's planning to sue the Wall Street Journal. But there does seem to be a commonality between the two, which is this, as Trump would put it, locker room talk. This kind of clubby boys'
Yeah.
room atmosphere. Where they're like, like the in jokes, like oh, we all know what you're talking about. Like
Wait,
nudge.
wait. That's our secret. That's our
Yeah,
enigma. That's
yeah,
our
yeah.
little. And that was exactly how, I mean, everyone seems to think that Epstein was so sophisticated in his plot. But what I understand is that he had young girls and beautiful women, and he brought men to his island, to his various properties. He made them feel comfortable. Glenn was part of this, right? This sort of open, raunchy behavior, this acceptance of this dehumanization, honestly, of young women. And that was a way of sort of having some blackmail on them. I mean, even from the correspondence between him and Jess Stanley, the banker who had to step down in disgrace, like they had this wink, wink, how is Snow White? And he's like, well, next time I want Belle and I'll be the Beast. And it's like they are in on this sort of coded joke
Yeah, yeah, no, no,
about,
absolutely, yeah. No, the thinly veiled language is something which is a commonality. You see with Jez Staley, the former chair of Barclays. Like like the references to wine, Disney princesses. Oh, how Snow White.
Mhm.
Again, it's that like, that like clubby like locker room boys. Like they all know what they're talking about, but it's kind of like, like guys laughing from their bellies. And it also, I think, reminded both of us of Epstein's 40th birthday. And I
Yeah.
think during your reporting, I think you uncovered that extraordinary poem that was read out at Epstein's 40th. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna play that for the listeners right now. So I did another podcast after it broke in Jeffrey Epstein. It was called Power the Maxwells, and it's a deep dive on Ghislaine Maxwell. So for everyone who wonders where did this woman come from, who openly bragged that her boyfriend, or the man that she wished was her boyfriend, a pedophile, that she had to procure 3 girls a day for, by the way, 3 girls per day. Um, why she would wanna hang around with a guy like this, right? And brag about it, and she was so off the like, over the top, and you found this in your reporting as well. I mean, she seemed posh. I mean, she went to all the best schools in London. Her father was Robert Maxwell, the press baron who owned the New York Daily News at one point, and the Daily Mirror, major papers. He had a
Yeah.
yacht called the Lady Galen that he mysteriously died off of. I mean, this is another guy shrouded in mystery, thought of as being a Mossad agent, who may have introduced Galen to Jeffrey Epstein. It's unclear. We've never really been
Mhm.
able to get down to the bottom of that, right? Have you been able to get down to the bottom of it?
I think the I was going over my notes about this yesterday. I think there were conflicting reports. I think Stephen Hoffenberg, who was running this
Yeah,
crooked financial firm with Epstein in the 90s, said that Robert Maxwell introduced Gillen to
yeah,
Epstein, and Epstein helped to hide loads of Robert Maxwell's money. But others have said that it may have been a bit later. But there's this incredible photo shot at the Plaza Hotel in New York, like about less than 3 weeks after her father's death, where Gillen's like looking at Jeffrey like with hungry eyes, and like he's in a white tie and it just it that clearly is not their first meeting. So there seems to be a history there
yeah.
before and.
He almost arranged this because, he had been robbing the pensions of the people that worked for him at the Daily
Yeah.
Mirror. So I'm going to play the song that Ghislaine Maxwell asked a friend of hers, Christopher Mason, to write for Jeffrey as a gift on her behalf for the 40th birthday.
He wakes when the cock crows while everyone slumbers. He rivals Einstein when he's crunching those numbers. Taught math at Dalton, the naughty boy blushes to think of schoolgirls and all of their crushes.
Christopher says that Ghislaine specifically requested that he include lines about the schoolgirl crushes and Epstein's 24-hour erections.
It all seems so jolly, so creepy in retrospect.
Christopher didn't question the suspicious material at the time. He trusted Ghislaine. They were 2 countrymen abroad. Jeffrey Epstein was in the picture now, and Ghislaine was beginning to thrive again. She was continuing the great Maxwell family tradition of schmoozing. But that wasn't the case for her 6 siblings.
Yeah, so that was
Mm.
after her father's death, shortly after her father's death. I know, Norm is barfing. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, it is vomit inducing because it's like again, but listen to it, listen to how they talk. Listen, this is how these people talk behind closed doors. It's like ha 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 ha. Like it's all a joke. Like
mhm,
abusive schoolgirls is like fodder for a birthday poem. What the hell?
yeah,
And then obviously Trump is denying he wrote that letter for Epstein's 50th, but when you hear him talk about, sort of, was it Wonderful Secrets or something like that? It's like it feels similar. It's like haha, we all know what we're talking about here, but like everyone's laughing around the dinner table. It's gross. It's really gross.
yeah, and that's where the whole compromise comes, and that's how Epstein operated. If
Mm.
I have a secret on you, he's not the greatest financier of all time. There
No,
was
he's a
no.
no, 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 absolutely. No. I don't think he was a shrewd financier. I think he was a
No.
con man. I think he
Mm,
he conned Les Wexner. He conned millions and millions, tens of millions, possibly hundreds of millions out of Les
yeah,
Wexner. He was a con man. If he was maybe he was shrewd at like hiding money offshore and helping people dodge
yeah,
taxes, as Leon Black claims. But I don't think he had ever had a sort of a legal day in his life, like and yeah, I don't yeah, I mean, but I agree with you, Tara. Like, the FBI and the DOJ are saying there's no evidence he blackmailed people, but come on, like a guy like him who's a con man who knows how to manipulate people, if he's got stuff on wealthy, powerful friends,
yeah.
it just seems unbelievable to me that he wouldn't at least threaten to push that button, if people crossed him.
It was like almost it was a known, like,
Hmm.
weapon that he was carrying with him. I mean, the girls said that they believe that they were being recorded and
Even in the
filmed.
toilets, yeah. Like
Yeah.
even he had he supposedly had a camera room in his New York mansion with like cameras everywhere in the bathroom, the bedrooms. Like yeah, like the idea there's no blackmail or no hint of blackmail just seems fantastical to me.
Yeah, and like I said, it's very weird because I had been talking about this case very frequently before this drop from Pam Bondi that they were dropping the case, claiming there was nothing more to it. And I had, senior law enforcement official telling me, yeah, we have photo, footage, video, documents. We have more. There's more. There is.
Yeah,
And this recorded everything, even the 2004 raid, they took out surveillance from his house. So this just, yeah, to me, it was very eerie. The
hmm
50th birthday card brought me back to the 40th birthday. And I was like, this is textbook Glenn
yeah,
creating an atmosphere. And Jeffrey looked almost being like godlike in a way, in the way,
yeah.
because that's the one thing for people who have that kind of wealth. It's like you can have everything. You pretty much can buy most things, right? You could probably buy a lot of adult women, but what you can't have is children. And so this is something he wanted almost his friends to envy him for having this sort of access.
Bragging rights, bragging rights about it, and also, again, and again, while Trump has called the letter nonsense and said that it's not true and it wasn't him, like this is a man who, we know is prone to, as he puts it, locker room talk. Let's look at the infamous
Yeah.
grab him by the pussy video. It's like, well, okay, this is a different circumstance, but it's like it's men, talking in private about, not very secret things and bragging and laughing about it. It's like it's locker room, boys' room, it's locker room. Like Trump has done this in the past. So although he does deny it, like he does have form with that kind of language and that kind of talk.
Yeah, he does. And that's like, I don't see how. I know that his supporters and his base want to find a reason to believe him, but this is so obvious. And by the way, this 50th birthday book, which is kind of actually normal, that the 50th birthday book is a normal thing. What's in it is
Yeah.
abnormal. Um, and there